All right, everybody, welcome back to the second episode of Steel City Takes. I'm Steel City Recaps. I'm here with Zap and my friend Steel Boomin. So, everyone, the Steelers are in a little bit of mud right now, to say the least. Off a rough week against Chicago. Let's start with that. What did we think? Steelers versus Bears. We were on here. We all seemed pretty confident. Still, I think Boomin, I think you said that the Steelers would win by 2 scores with Mason. I mean, what's the consensus there? How'd he play?
Yeah. The consensus there was terrible offensive play calling, man. Like I don't really know. Man, the end of the game was so bad. Like when we had to get a first down, I think the last two plays were like little dump offs for like a yard each. It was like second and six, and then it ended up being like third and five, and then it was
Yeah.
fourth and four. It was just like, bro, we threw two passes and got 2 yards off of
You got to
each
move the
one.
ball. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
I
But no,
agree.
I mean Mason, yeah, it was bad.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I was
Mason,
wrong.
he's a backup guy. I mean, I think that he was
Yeah,
great when he had Pickens, but I think Pickens was just making those plays. I mean, we'll
yes,
talk
sir.
about that a little later, but I mean, even things like him not realizing like the wrong formation. Like there's a clip of Aaron Rodgers, his hands on his head, like, oh my God, that's the wrong formation. And he's on the sideline, like with rows of guys in front of him. I mean, those are
Hmm.
things you just have to pick up as an NFL quarterback, period.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially in that situation too. That was a huge moment in the game. Like we couldn't afford to have a penalty there.
Took 30 yards off the board.
Yeah.
I mean he did good. He did good. He had the wheels, but you know quarterbacks they're not just doing this. They're making sure everybody's lined up where they're supposed to be,
Yep.
and he just didn't do it.
I
Yeah. I
agree.
mean, really at the end of the day, it was not a good performance offensively, defensively, but we still were in the game, and it is a Bears team that's leading their division and
Yeah,
is a first place team. So we kind
yeah.
of need to take it, I think, with a slight grain of salt, but also it does not give you much confidence going into this Bills game.
Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, especially when we have no receiver that can stretch the field. I mean, you look, Zap, you brought up a stat, before the show. Do you want to
Hmm.
share that with everyone on this, pod right now?
Yeah, let me pull up my receiving yardage
Mr. Analytics, I love
statistics.
it.
Yeah, so as we know, DK Metcalf, our number one guy, he's leading the way.
Hmm.
42 catches, 573 yards. Two things to point out. First, Kenneth Gainwell also has 42 catches, so they have the same amount of catches. Not a great start.
Which guy has 33 mil on his contract?
Yeah, exactly. And
Right,
secondly,
right.
our number two wide receiver by yardage is Pat Fryermuth. Now, keep in
And he
mind,
only
Calvin Austin did miss 2 games, but Pat Freiermuth is currently our number two receiver with
Mhm.
298 yards to Calvin Austin's 278.
what?
Yeah.
It's
And
insane. I
and
mean,
Pat only he had that monster game against Cincinnati,
Hmm.
but what has he done outside of like
I mean,
wow.
he gets what, like 2 catches a game, maybe.
yeah. The only really good plays, splash plays I can remember him making are the Colts touchdown where he kind of finds no man's land. I
Hmm.
remember that being a touchdown. And then obviously the Bengals game, that dude went off. But it
Hmm.
feels like we haven't had that Aaron Rodgers sense too. I mean, we haven't completed a deep pass in the month of November, if I'm right on that.
Hmm.
It's the
Um,
helmet, man.
it's
I agree,
It's, it's
100%,
the
dude. It's the
helmet.
scheme in the helmet, in the
They switched his
lifestyle of the
helmet up,
Steelers.
man.
I think Rodgers having a game off actually did justice to him because I think maybe him resetting will kind of get him back because he was playing good football. We were 4-1, guys. Like
Hmm. Yeah.
I think for a guy like that, in the second half of the season to have another bye week, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, it sucks to drop a game versus the Bears, but I think that the Bears game was one of the most filler games in the Steelers schedule I've ever seen because let's be real, that win doesn't get us in over the Chargers, other wild card teams like the Chiefs. All it really would have is just make me more confident about the division, right? So now we need to go and beat Buffalo and Baltimore again. I think we need 2 out of 3 of those games.
It would have
100%.
helped us because Baltimore beat the Bears. So if this thing comes down to like tiebreakers or whatever, worst case scenario, I'm tired of the tiebreakers. Okay, if it comes down to tiebreakers, it would have helped us because
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore did beat Chicago already.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely Cleveland later on in our schedule. We have Baltimore twice. Teams like that. I mean, we need the wins there, especially because of the tiebreakers.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, long gone are the days where we get a nice, comfortable 12-win season and a 2-game lead in the division, cruising into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it looks like we just lost recaps, so I guess we'll keep it rolling here. The other thing I thought was interesting with Mason's performance, when you kind of look at the statistics, he kind of played okay. I mean, he had only 171 yards. His completion percentage was fine. He did have a bad interception, which I know some people were kind of going after DK about that, but DK has never been the go up and win a 50-50 ball receiver. So it's kind of tough. When you look at the passer rating for this one game compared to Rodgers on the season, like Rudolph has a slight edge still, but I mean, that's a one-game situation, so it's still, it wasn't good enough at the end of the day.
I ain't gonna lie. I was disappointed with the interception. Not on Mason, but on DK. You ain't gotta come down with it. But who was it? It was later on. It was
Roman.
It was right. There you go. Play defense. You got to turn into a defender in that moment. You can't just be like, oh, it was push him down, grab him, rip his helmet off, like do something, bro.
Take a penalty at that point. If
yes,
you're going to interfere with him catching the ball.
Yes, because at least it keeps them from getting possession of the ball. It might back up the sticks a little bit, but come on, man. Like 30 million, bro. Like,
I mean, I think not having another pass catcher next to DK really hurts. Like, unfortunately, DK has never been the kind of guy to be a George Pickens and go up and high point the ball, And I mean, seeing him in Dallas, man, it just hurts because that dude goes over top of 3 different guys and makes it happen. He goes out late on the Vegas Strip, and then he goes in.
He did.
He's out partying all night.
He did
on himself for all I care, and then he goes up and he catches it over 5 Eagles defenders. I mean,
he did.
We need that right now.
And didn't they sit out? Did they sit out the first quarter, or they sit out the first drive?
The first drive, which I think they went 3 and out, so that was short lived.
Didn't matter.
I mean, with Pickens, like we knew the talent was there. I don't think anyone in the Steelers organization discredited his talent. It was all up here and in the locker room. Personally, I think that the trade is still a good one. We needed him out of the locker room in the situation. Would it have been nice to have his talent on the team this year? Yes. But I think just the way that the Steelers are kind of going at the moment in terms of culture, he just was a bad fit. Is a 3rd-round pick a good return for how well he's been playing this year? Probably not. But at the end of the day, he was cancerous to the locker room. Guys didn't want him around. So you kind of have to play that game of was the talent.
Is that what happened? Guys didn't want him around?
He was showing up late.
Understanding.
I did hear that he was showing up late to Christmas games.
He did show up late to the Christmas game. He showed up 30 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah. He showed up late. You want to be there at least like 2 hours, I think, right? I mean, things like that, I mean, I think he partly forced his way out. I mean, especially after the DK trade, it could have been another Kenny Pickett-esque moment. You bring in Russ, like, I'm out of here, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, we
the Steelers weren't going to pay him regardless. Even if he was here on the team this season, he does not have 1,000 yards right now. He might have 400 or 500. I mean, I just don't see the production on the Steelers roster, even if he's on the team right now.
I agree. I think Dallas uses him a lot as a backup plan. And obviously, 5 minutes ago, I was screaming, like, I don't care if he's going out and betting the night before, as long as you can catch a dang football. But I will say that I feel like Dallas uses him as a backup plan, almost as a prayer. And he's able to answer. You know what I mean? Go up and make a catch, GP, because he's the only reason they were back in that game. But notice how they were down in the first half. He's a prayer in the second half. If he was that good, people would be calling him the number 1. You never see him in any top 5 or top 10 lists outside of the receiving yards category. I think he's a garbage time kind of guy.
I mean, I think there was I was watching Steel City Twins, and they was talking about like the routes that he ran in Pittsburgh versus the routes that he's running in Dallas, and that is a thing. Like they went, and they also went through. Shout out to Steel City Twins. They also went through we've had 6 quarterbacks since Ben. They went through like their passes, like the type of passes they make in a normal game. They all look the same. And the worst part about it is Mason Rudolph did exactly the same thing that Aaron Rodgers has done the last couple of games. Like, and you cannot tell me, and this is me, you can't tell me that Mason has the same talent as Aaron to even look like him. Like, if you was to like take a name off a piece of paper, put up the X's and O's, and say, okay, who's this and who's this? They look identical, and that should not be. That is very bad. And Arthur Smith has to go. That's just what it is. George Pickens, I get it. He was a crash out, but he was a lot of it was frustration. A lot of it was frustration, man. Like when you go to work and you can't work,
True.
like he had to deal with Mr. Trubisky. Like I don't blame him for that. Like Mr. Trubisky, he should have never been in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I understand, and I'm happy he has a second chance to go somewhere and make some money. Because, like you said, Pittsburgh was never going to pay him a CD Lamb type paycheck.
Correct.
They was never going to do that.
Yeah,
Jerry Jones might do it.
Right. And on the Cowboys too, like their offensive scheme is so different than the Steelers. Dak is playing at a high level. I saw he had 109 more attempts than Rodgers does this season. So there's so much more opportunity there for a guy like Pickens. I don't necessarily disagree with you about Arthur Smith's offense, but also we have to look at the last, since really Todd Haley, we keep having just guys in there as an offensive coordinator, and it looks the same. From Fiechner to Canada to Smith. And that all comes back to, I think, the head coach's decision of culture and how he wants to play. He doesn't want to lose the turnover.
Oh, I agree 1,000%.
And he lives in his fears.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So let's talk about this guy, Mike Tomlin, for a minute, okay, everybody? Because we have had the same conversations since we lost to Miami in 2017. The last time we won a playoff game, I was like 5. You know what I mean? It's an embarrassment.
No way. Hold up.
I think like 8 or 9 to be fair, right?
Okay. I'm about to say, hold up. I'm about to log off.
He's aging, man. He's killing.
I'm about to log off.
If this was Dallas, if this was Philly, if this was Green Bay, if this was even Detroit, for all I care, coaches get fired when they don't win and do their jobs. You go to work, you want to win. Enough nonsense here, guys. A winning season doesn't mean anything unless you win a playoff game. That's a winning season. It's not going 9-8 because that's not a guarantee. All right. We talk a lot about fire Terrell Austin, fire Matt Canada. What changes? What changed when we fire Matt Canada?
Right,
what changed?
Right.
Because the guy calling the plays.
Yep, that's it.
It's an embarrassment because yes, the play calling isn't great. But where do the play sheets come from?
Less jet sweeps. That's what changed.
But seriously, I mean, look, the play calling sucks. We have 3 defensive backs on 4 wide receivers on that DJ Moore touchdown. Caleb Williams was slicing and dicing. And I mean, I think he's all right, but he's just kind of coming into his own. But in my opinion, I think the play sheets are all the same for them to choose from. Right? I think it's just dependent on how the coordinators use them. And I think Arthur Smith has done a decent job for considering everything. But I'll also bring this up. There was a report that came out a couple of days ago saying that apparently there's this longtime coach looking for a change of scenery. And I think that it makes way too much sense for Mike Tomlin, right? Because, listen, in Pittsburgh, we're not used to 9-8s. We want Super Bowls, right? We're just spoiled, okay? I'll be honest.
Playoff
I'm
runs.
a spoiled fan. But if Mike Tomlin really wanted to change of scenery, he would be a saint. There would be statues of him if he was in New York, Carolina, for all I care.
New Orleans.
So is Pittsburgh really the right fit for him? I don't think so. He was a hero in 2005. Unfortunately, it's 20 years later. You don't win games off defense anymore. It's EPAs now. That's why.
That's true.
Bears.
That's true. You need defense to a certain degree, but it is largely that EPA stuff. Yeah, real talk. Yeah.
Yeah, the passing attempts or passing yards, whatever. That's how you win games. You don't win games by not going for it on 4th and 1. What was that attempt, by the way, in the first half? That was an embarrassment to the city of Pittsburgh. Really was.
We saw that tush. We saw that tush push.
The tush push where Connor Hayward looks at them jump and he's like, "Hang on, I'm gonna give him a second, just to get even here, And then he goes,
he shouldn't even give Darnell Washington that football.
He can literally just do this.
Right, let him do a tush push. They will get out the way for him.
You got Rogers aura farming back there. I guess Mason now. He's like first down.
Hey, I saw Mason. Didn't Mason do that too? Didn't he do that? I thought I saw that. I was like, come on, Mason. Come on, bro. What we doing?
He's trying to be Rogers, man.
Yeah.
But I was doom scrolling TikTok yesterday, and some stuff came up about the Steelers and their, decade of winning seasons, but really no success. And there was a good point brought up that you look at teams, look at the last couple champions, Eagles, Chiefs, Rams, Buccaneers, like teams that have been there, even the Patriots. All of those teams have had losing seasons in that time period.
Yes,
but
sir.
they also are some of the most successful organizations in the league.
Yes, sir.
So tying everything to the winning season thing is just like it's antiquated.
When you look at the Patriots, right? They get rid of their head coach. They tank for a year or two. And then they go out and get their quarterback. They build the fort around him with Will Campbell, O-linemen, defensive linemen. They build the trenches. And I think that's what the Steelers' plan is. But I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But that's how you should do it.
We know that's Boomin's plan. He's hoping for those 2 offensive linemen next year.
Yeah. I mean, because it's one of them things to where, like, I know you trolling, but you have to build the trenches up. You're not gonna have time to throw the football. It don't matter if you got Joe Montana back there. If we're sitting here saying we want downfield passing, you need a couple seconds for that stuff to develop. And if he doesn't have a chance to analyze the field and he's running for his life, you're still not gonna get it. I don't care who you got at wide receiver. You gotta have time to get the ball to the quarterback. Yep. But one thing I wanted to say too, in response to I was watching Debo and Joe, and Debo was talking about how he said the defense is watered down from what they used to run. And I thought that was interesting. And he you can go back and look at that too, but he was just talking about how every defense has a weakness, but when you start watering stuff down, you're creating more holes. And so we're watching it as fans. Like, why are teams able to like eat the middle of our defense up so well? It's because they're dumbing down stuff and they're putting people in places they should not be. Instead of teaching them the actual system, they're teaching them a version of the system. And it reminds me of like people that code, like IT and stuff like that.
Madden rookie mode. That's what it reminds us of.
True.
Going out on podcasts saying this is the same Steelers defense we've been playing since 2005. I mean, it's just nonsense. But Boomin, I also want to piggyback off your point here, right? I think that the offensive line has actually been a highlight of this year. I think the quarterback play hasn't been great, but really the wide receivers and the play calling have really hurt this team, right? I will say that I don't think Arthur Smith, he was pretty bad on Sunday, but I do think that he gave opportunities to get him back in the game. Like there on that Roman Wilson deep shot that was out of bounds, Mason's got to throw to DK right there because DK was wide open coming across the middle of the field. I'll throw that overlay in here somewhere. But I also heard like DK might not be able to remember his routes. I heard this through because you remember the Chargers game? You guys remember the Chargers game? That interception that just kind of sailed Aaron Rodgers. I think that DK kind of just he's a couple yards off every time. You know what I mean? Like, look at a couple of plays in there. He's a step up. He's a step to the left, right. I don't know. I think it makes sense. And apparently he was doing it in Seattle too. Because Aaron Rodgers is a smart
look
guy.
into that.
He doesn't just sail guys like that. When have we ever seen that from a quarterback?
That's a fair point. You also, if that's happening too, that could be a situation where, again, we talked about it last week. Rodgers comes in late to the team. I know we're in week 12, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're still fully on the same page. They don't have a ton of reps together.
That's true too. But then again, Rodgers is just hard targeting DK. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes you got to switch it up. I think Roman Wilson has been great, guys. Like he could be a 300-400 guy at this point. I mean, we see it whenever they actually like need to throw to him because they double DK. He makes some stuff
Yeah.
happen. He hurdles a guy. He
Yeah, he
gets out of
does.
the legs of someone. You know, I think that he's a solid guy, but we're just not utilizing him. We don't utilize Calvin, and for some reason, we think Jonnu Smith is the next Gronk. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah. What Jonnu Smith ran a jet sweep or something like that? And it's just like
They always have him in motion.
what are we like? What are we doing?
Using,
We're upset.
In
I
the
would
way-
rather see Pat Fry move in motion than Jonnu Smith. Like,
the way they talked him up whenever we traded for him too, based on his season last year, like I thought he was going to be a pretty key piece to this offense, and they do kind of force him the ball a couple times with situations like that. But he's not nearly as active as I expected him to be.
Yeah.
I think the word everyone is getting acquainted to in terms of football terminology is schematics.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way a team schemes for a guy over here is not going to be the same it is going to be for us. And yeah, he might have looked good with Miami, but Miami does different stuff. They spread it out and they throw shots down the field. They bombing it, you know. They're not scared to take shots across the middle. They're not scared to take shots. Yeah.
But like when you look at our scheme, nothing works, especially defensively. What really makes me mad is it looks like we're actually not even trying out there. Whenever we have 3 defensive backs on 4 wide receivers, all Caleb Williams had to do on Sunday was just wait. I mean, it's an embarrassment. We don't throw over the middle of the field. We don't have guys that can play man-to-man defense. It's a bunch of unks. I mean, what are we doing?
Hey, whoa.
He throws that around about us a lot, man.
Yeah, it's a bunch of unks, bro.
This morning I was listening to the fan, and they were analyzing that touchdown that DJ Moore had, where he was wide open. And they explained that, Joey Porter Jr. came across the formation showing man, but really he was in a soft zone. But he's our outside corner. But he takes the transition across the field. He's now inside. That's not a place that he's been at all this season. And the coverage didn't shift. So that's why DJ Moore, when they switched to the 4 verts, was wide open. So it's the scheme plus it's putting our players in the wrong position. Because I believe it might have been Doran this morning on the fan was like, the linebacker should have shifted and they just stayed in zone, or they should have been playing man anyway. Like either way, it's incorrect. You're putting your guys in the wrong position, which again, the scheme.
Yeah.
It just actually infuriates me. It really does, because it's the same Steelers. It's the same Steelers every year. You need the 3-game losing streak somewhere in there. Everyone is up in arms about Mike Tomlin. We're going to beat the Bills, and then everything's going to be A-okay. We'll lose to Baltimore. We'll catch up a couple big wins. Maybe we'll win against Detroit, and then we'll lose against Cleveland, and then we'll beat Baltimore to give ourselves a chance and lose first round. I hate being that negative fan. I really do, but something's got to change here, guys. Yeah. Like, I think it should.
It hasn't started at the top. It hasn't started at the top.
Baltimore runs 25 times in a row on you in the playoffs, and they win. It's ridiculous. It really is. Yeah. I mean, Kevin Adams is paying for billboards to fire Tomlin, to sell the team.
Hey, yo, that was hilarious.
That was hilarious. But we were never all in, and I never understood when people say that, especially after we traded GP.
But see, that's what the Steelers were trying to sell, the fact that they were all in. They were saying, "Oh, we're all in," but your actions didn't line up with it. No, because if they were all in, if you got rid of GP, somebody that can be a 1 somewhere, okay, all right, who's GP's replacement? Because we know we need a wide receiver too.
I get it. Sold the farm to bring someone in here.
Yeah,
I mean, I think there's 2 arguments.
Exactly,
you know what I mean. I think that there's the argument of getting rid of George Pickens, which I'm on the fence about, but I more so agree with it because I think it'll pay off, right? And then there's another argument on replacing George Pickens, which is a huge red exclamation mark for me. How do you not go out and get a Jacoby Myers or Rashid Shaheed?
Somebody.
If you're going to draft a wide receiver in this year's draft, give up the first for Waddle and Calvin.
And then you saw what you didn't have to give up a first. I was looking at what some guys they gave up. Some guys was like a third rounder. I think what was Myers? I don't think Myers was a first
He was
rounder.
like 4 and 6, wasn't he? Yeah.
Along with Shaheed, he was a
Bro, we got 13 picks for next season. Like, come on, man. Like, that should have been a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Instead they bring in MVS. No offense. All due respect. We haven't seen him play yet. We haven't seen him play yet. But
stretch the field. We have no one that can stretch the field. We have not completed a pass over 20 yards since the Roman Wilson touchdown in garbage time against the Packers. It's an embarrassment.
And it wouldn't have required us giving up any. We wouldn't have lost anybody. We wouldn't have lost CA3. We wouldn't have lost Roman. We just had to give a 4th and a 6th. Like, come on, man. That should have been a no-brainer.
Yep. And all that does is really, and that just pushes Scotty Miller or Ben Skoranek, down off the roster, which who cares?
Yeah.
They're just special teams pieces at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Man, I'm up in arms, but I want to go through the Bills game, because I think that everything I've said on this podcast, it's not going to line up with my prediction. And I'm going to say this.
Because we like to be positive, man.
Unfortunately, the Steelers are going to win this weekend, right? It's the biggest. It's just like the Steelers and Colts game.
It's a Tomlin special.
It's the Tomlin special. You lose games that are tight. Everyone's up in arms. Everywhere I go on Twitter, all I see is jersey changes of Kurt, like all these random. What was this guy's name? The guy that coached at Texas A&M for Johnny Manziel. Shane Steichen was on there. Ben Johnson. Like all these guys. Like, it's just really infuriating. But I do think that the Steelers win like 24-23. The Bills might go for 2, or we might go for 2 at the end of the game. We might win on a last-second field goal. It's going to go the Steelers' way. We're going to have 1,020+ yard passes because that's what the Steelers do. Best defensive game you'll ever see will be called on Sunday, and then we'll go in and we'll lose against Baltimore.
What you got, Zap? What you got, man, in response to that?
It's hard to disagree. This tracks so much like, you come off the Tomlin special, as they call them, against a really good team. Yep. We've seen that with the Colts. And then you put up a good game. I do think it's going to be close. My score prediction was Steelers 26, Bills 24. So I do think the Steelers are going to win the game. It gives me a lot of pause with that prediction, especially since with Josh Allen, the Steelers are 1-5 against, or sorry, 1-4 against them in the regular season and the playoffs. But honestly, the Bills defense also not great. They have been given up a lot of points and yards. So I can't trust the Bills defense either. So if we can get it rolling, similar to like we did in the Colts game, and maybe we get a lead and we can hold them off in the second half.
The Steelers need to win games.
Correct.
It's the only way they win the games. Yeah. I mean, I'll also say, like, Boom, I don't want to interrupt, but like the Steelers have a track record over the last couple of years to lose 3 games in a row. I could see us this could be the stretch right here. And right now it's Bears, Bills, Ravens. That could very possibly be it. Both the Ravens games.
Let's hear what you got, Boomin.
Man, is Rodgers playing?
I think so.
If
he was good enough to consider
yesterday.
Huh?
I was confident in him playing until yesterday. Now I have a little bit of hesitation that they're going to play him.
If Rodgers plays, I think we win. I think we win by like 10 or something like that. I don't think it'd be nothing crazy. Because I think our defense, they're just so inconsistent. Like, but when they're on, they're on. When they're on, they're scary. Like, they're downright like, they're a turnover machine. I mean, even with the Bears, they had a couple Why can't we catch interceptions? I don't know. Like we dropped so many interceptions, man. It's unreal. Like they need to do some passing drills or something, man, because they are dropping opportunities. They're dropping blessings. If Rodgers plays, I think we win by like 10. If he plays, because like you said, they're Josh Allen. He got to be Superman. Like he got to be perfect. He has to be perfect. So that gives us some room. because I don't think Aaron Rodgers has to be perfect. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
We have a
Yep.
good enough defense. If they are on, they are on. If Mason is playing, I don't know, man.
Who
I mean,
knows?
even though he had a chance to win the game there, if we line up correctly, if he's playing, I don't think we get it. And before the season started, I made like a little schedule, like doing predictions and stuff. This was this was one of the games I didn't see. I didn't think we would win, but seeing how the season has played out, like if we play complementary football, I think we have a chance. I think we have a chance. If the coordinators if they come with a plan and they make adjustments, we got a chance. So,
This is what I'll leave you guys with from my perspective. Let's get a nice 50-plus yard field goal from Boz to win this game. How about that?
Yeah, I love it, Zap.
Yes, sir.
We're all negative, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm wearing Steelers stuff. He's wearing Steelers stuff, and look at his hat. You know what I mean? We still love our Steelers, but it gets to a point where you love them so much, sometimes you hate them.
You gotta be realistic. You gotta be realistic.
Yeah, and you know how it is. I mean,
I see both sides. I see the super positive, be positive, root for your team, but I also see because I said this a couple years ago about Tom. I said winning seasons are nice, but what do we do with it?
Mhm.
And that's not being negative. That's just like a logical question. What do we do? If we have a winning season after having a losing season, okay, that's progress. If we have a winning season and we win a wild card weekend, okay, that's progress.
Mhm.
But just to be like, oh well, we went 10-7 or we went 9-8. What you gonna do with that?
Yeah, you don't make progress. I agree. And there hasn't been progress in 9 years. And I mean, someone stays like this in a job.
Well, I'm saying we could break that down to everyday life. If you go to work and you pull up you put up basic production, you halfway doing your job, you're not going to keep your job, bro.
Yeah,
and I get it, they're famous, but what does that mean? You got people paying all kind of money to go to these games on the North Shore, and it's like a lot of people are beginning to just not feel appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Like season ticket holders, and that's not good for the Roonies. They gotta do something.
I'm intrigued to see how all the season plays out. That's what I'm really excited for, because I don't know. I could see it going either way if we don't make the playoffs. I think if we don't make the playoffs, I do think Tomlin he might be fired, guys.
No, he'll be on the hot seat. Arthur Smith is not going to fire him. And really, all this scheme and coaching and culture, this all starts with him. And he isn't going to make a change.
They've come out. Keith Butler came out and said it. Terrell Austin came out and said it. They're like, yo, yeah, we got our game plan, but Tomlin steps in and he says, we're running this. And what do you do if your boss says, oh, this is what you're running? Yeah, okay, boss. Okay, boss. What you? And then he can't say, well, the boss said you gotta keep your mouth shut and not talk about it. Man, and I heard that's the reason why we can't really get a good offensive coordinator. It's because they know how things go down here, and they don't have the freedom to work. They don't have the freedom to do their thing.
The last offensive coordinator, I gotta head out after this point, but the last offensive coordinator that was, quote, forced upon Tomlin was Todd Haley. Great coordinator. Didn't go well. Bad relationship. Yeah. Since then, it's just been another guy, and nothing
that he can control. Just control. And that's not good in any work dynamic. But I agree with you, bro.
But boys, I gotta hop off. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Can I ask you a question before you get on?
Of course. Yes, sir.
If the Steelers somehow make it to the playoffs and win a couple of games in the playoffs, would that surprise you?
No. Would them not making the playoffs also not surprise me? No.
Right.
This is the most hot and cold coin flip heads or tails team. You just never know what you're gonna get. You just don't.
Yeah. Literally a different team every week.
Yep. So, all right, boys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Zaps Takes on IG. Check them out. But we'll go through this for another 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
Boomin, obviously it's frustrating, seeing a guy that goes out in Vegas the night before, put up almost 200 yards, hearing all this nonsense in your ear. I mean, What do you think? Do we make the playoffs this year or not?
If we lose this Bills game, I'm gonna say no.
Wow.
Because that would literally, because we went from 4th to 8th, right? Just from tying. So we have to have a better record. Like we have to shoot to have a better record than Baltimore. Just having a tied record, went from 4th to 8th. So we gotta beat the Bills, and we gotta split with Baltimore. We gotta beat the Dolphins because that's a winnable game. We gotta beat the Browns the next time around. And Shador he doing this, the whole crowd doing that.
He is tough.
Yeah,
he's tough. I like him. I like that.
He has confidence. He has confidence, man. And it's hard, you know what I'm saying, when you going against somebody like, man, he got confidence. Like he got nothing to lose.
Like that game isn't guaranteed either. Like they beat us at 3 wins last year. You know what I mean? So like here's how I see the rest of the year playing out for the Ravens and for us. Okay, the Ravens have teams like the Bengals twice, us twice, the Green Bay Packers, and Patriots on their schedule, right? I think they beat us. I think they beat the Patriots or the Packers. That's a win. I think they beat the Bengals, right? Mm-hmm. And then I don't know. I see them losing 3 games, right? I do, because I think they lose to the Bengals. I think they lose to us, and then the Packers or Patriots, right?
You think they lose to the Bengals?
One time, because I mean they got Burrow back. It's Thursday night football. It might be one of those games, and Burrow can go toe to toe with Lamar any day of the week.
He can.
We kind of need him to make some magic happen. The Steelers, though, have Detroit on their schedule, Cleveland, Baltimore twice. They have the Bills, and then they have the Dolphins. I think they win against the Dolphins. I think they win against the Bills. I think they win one game against the Ravens. And then you need the Detroit game. You need the Browns. I don't know. I like the Steelers' schedule a lot more than the Ravens' schedule right now. I'll say that, which is kind of wild. I still think that we're in the driver's seat of the AFC North, especially playing Baltimore twice. But let's be real here, right? On this podcast, I'm willing to say one thing, and I'd bet money on this, right? We need 2 out of 3 of these games between Baltimore and the Bills. You need 2 of them.
Yeah. We got to at least win the AFC games. Like the Lions, whatever. But we got to at least win the AFC games.
I know.
So no,
especially the division games, because the tiebreaker might actually come down to the Cleveland game December 28th. Because if you win that game, you have, I think, a 4-win division. Yeah. But even if you can beat the Ravens twice and then drop a couple extra games where you're both 9 and 8, I think you would still get in over them as long as you kind of make some stuff happen in the AFC.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm tired of limping into the playoffs. I understand what you're saying, but I am tired of limping into the playoffs, man. I thought it would be different with Aaron. Because our losses are not on Aaron. Our losses are not on Aaron. It's largely due to the because like the problem before was we're not putting up enough points.
One game was
we're putting up. Well, no, of course, of course, but we've lost 5 now. You know what I mean? And so, what was I gonna say? We couldn't put up points before. Okay, we putting up points now. Mm-hmm. We're putting up points now.
I mean,
like,
I'll also say this about the defense, though, right? They had a touchdown against the Bears, and we just kind of let it. Just like we kind of just were like, all right, no one's even talking about that play because it was so unmeaningful. You know what I mean? Like they still ripped us apart, but like we also have to remember they were 7 points in that game. So Mason only put up 21. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Interceptions, the sack fumble on the other side of the field, things like that lose you the game. Boswell could hit it from where he fumbled. You know what I mean? And that changed the whole outlook of the game. Guys like James Pierre flopping to lose us a timeout. I mean, what was that? You know what I mean? Like,
that was crushing because that illegal formation, we could call a timeout then, but we couldn't before. And I know he flopped, but I really thought the guy had like stepped on his foot or something like that.
I don't know, but what happened there? Because no one on the broadcast said anything.
Nope.
I was just like, oh, okay.
It's like they just brushed it under. Just like that Ben Skoranek holding call on the punt. When we pinned them deep, we went to commercial break.
Yeah. Yep.
It
What
was
was
first
that
and
about?
10
I mean,
Bears.
the field,
We came
30
back.
yards.
It was 4th and 20. I'm like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
Can we get a replay? Never saw a replay.
Nope. Never saw it.
So
ridiculous.
So yeah.
And the original flag was on them. And I'm not blaming the refs
Right.
because that was poor from the Steelers, I'll be honest. That was a
At
very
this point,
bad
yeah.
game. I mean, like look at the first I don't know what was worse. The Steelers play or the end zone angle on the Chicago Bears kickoff. Because I couldn't even see Kenny Gainwell fumble it inside
it
our
was
own
like
five.
they said some kind of knuckle. They said some kind of knuckle kick or something like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't see it because of all the fog in Soldier Field.
Yeah.
Not sure what that camera angle was. Don't know what was worse, the Steelers losing or that camera angle.
Man.
But it's things like that lose you the games. But we did go 95 yards for a touchdown. I don't think Mason was the worst of the worst. I don't think that he was the sole problem. But I will say, like, that was a D performance. Maybe D plus considering everything C minus, but like that's not good enough for football games.
Nah, especially not playoff games.
Definitely,
especially not playoff games.
But that's why you have Rodgers, and I think Rodgers can get us a playoff game.
Yeah.
But now it's like, do we get in? Do we get in over Baltimore, who are hot right now? 6 wins in a row, 5 wins in a row. I mean, what is this voodoo magic they're doing down there at the Hard Rock?
Bro, they always. I tell people, man, Baltimore is always around, man. They are. We can look at countless examples where they should have never been in the picture to begin with, and it's like we leave the door open for them every single time. But whenever they get up, they rarely give us an opportunity. That's the difference. So,
we'll see how it all goes, but I think that's gonna be enough for episode 2. We'll call it a day. I'm very thankful. I'm in the Thanksgiving spirit. Thank you all for sticking around and watching this here with us. Very worked up today, if you couldn't tell. We are angry right now. And I'm intrigued to see how it all unfolds, everybody. But I'm sure that we'll have plenty of posts, plenty of opinions this Sunday against the Bills, and we'll see what happens. But thank you all for watching the second episode of Steel City Takes. Please check out Zaps Takes on Instagram and my friend Steel Boomin on TikTok, Instagram, any other socials. Check out his platform. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a nice night.
Y'all too. Peace.
Peace out.